All right, this is your video 3 on a refreshing factoring. We're going to factor when a is not a prime number. So we'll be able to factor any quadratic trinomial that can be factored now. So 6m squared minus 31m plus 35. We start off by saying, okay, well, is there a GCF? There's not. To break apart 6m squared, we can either do 6m and 1m, or it might be 3m and 2m. So this just increases the number of options you have to try. So to multiply to 35, I have 1 and 35, or 5 and 7. So I have to try all those options on both sets here before I can say I can't factor it. So if I did 1 and 35, I get 1m and 210m. It's definitely not making 31. Then I would have to try 6m and 35 with m and m and 1, which makes 35m and 6m. Not going to make my 31m. Then I have to try 6m and m with 5 and 7. So I have 5m, 42m, which does not make my 31m. And I flip-flop those. I try 7 and 5, which makes 7m and 30m. Does not make my 31. But I'm not done now. I have another option to try. I try 1 and 35. I get 2m and not 70. 105m. Not going to make 31. Flip-flop them, 35 and 1. I try 70m and 3m. Not going to make 31. I try 5 and 7. I have 10m and 21m. Hey, look at that. If they're both negatives, I make negative 31. I finally found my answer. So the only difference here from what we were doing is that there's more options to try. I don't automatically know how the first number is going to break apart. I have things to try. So there are a few hints that the expression gives. If your C value, your constant, is negative, then the two factors will have opposite signs. So one will be a plus, one will be a minus. And actually, the sign of the bigger multiplication matches the middle sign. If C is positive, the two factors have the same sign, and that sign will always match the sign of your B value. So if it's a plus at the end, plus a constant, both of these signs are going to be the same, both pluses or both minuses, and it'll match your middle term here. All right, 10x squared minus 81x plus 8. No GCF, I dive straight in. Now I go with what I think is most likely. I usually feel like it'll be 5x and 2x. And in this case, let's see, if I try 8 and 1, I get 16 and 5, which doesn't make 81. Well, now I realize, well, 5 times anything isn't going to get me close to 81. I'm actually going to jump to 10x and 1x. Because 10 times 8 is 80 plus 1, right? 1x, 80x. It's a plus, so they're both the same sign. This is a minus, so they're both minuses. There we go. I have my answer. 10x minus 1 times x minus 8. Second one here, 8a squared plus 34a minus 9. No GCF, I dive straight in. I go for 4a and 2a first. For breaking apart 9, I usually want to go with 3 and 3, but I know to make a 34, I'm thinking 9 and 1. Well, that makes 18a and 4a, which is not going to make my 34. So that one didn't work. But I can flip-flop the 9 and the 1, which makes a 2a and a 36a. Well, 36 minus 2 is 34, so positive 36 minus 1. 4a minus 1 times a plus 9, or 2a plus 9 is my answer. So remember on these, sometimes you get lucky and it's right away. Sometimes you don't, and you have to try a lot of options. I very strongly recommend doing these problems in pencil. For 9r squared minus 12r plus 4, I would assume that breaking 9r squared apart would be 3r and r. Breaking 4 apart, I always go with 2 and 2 first because that's my gut feeling. I have 6r and 6r. Well, lucky me, minus 6r makes minus 12r. I got it right away. 4n squared plus 4n. Remember, GCF is still a thing. The GCF here, well, I can take a 4 out of both of them, and I can take an n out of both of them, which leaves you with an n plus 1. Remember, this term doesn't just disappear. It's got to be a 1 so that when I redistribute, it's still there. All right, next one here. This one does not have a GCF, so I have to guess. 9x squared, I think it'll be 3x and 3x. 20, I feel like it'll be 10 and 2. But that gives me 30x and 6x, and that doesn't make 49. That didn't work. Well, now I'm kind of realizing that 3 times anything but 20 wouldn't get me anywhere near 49. Well, this makes 60x and 3x. That doesn't work. I'm going to jump over to 9x and x, because my numbers weren't even getting close to that 49 I needed in the middle. Let's try 5 and 4 for 20 now. If I do 5 and 4, I get 5x and 36x. Ooh, those make a 41x in the middle, but that's close to what I need, but not quite. So try flip-flopping them. I have a 4x and a 45x. Oh, and guess what? If they're both minuses, it works. 9x minus 4 times x minus 5. For 8n squared minus 22n minus 63, no GCF, I dive straight in. I'm going to try, I like to try 4n and 2n first. All right, numbers that multiply to 63, 1 and 63. I always try to avoid that one because I never feel like it's likely. That's just my gut telling me that, though. 3 and 21, 7 and 9. And that's it. I feel like 7 and 9. And again, this is just going off my gut. 7 times 2n is 14n. 4n times 9 is 36n. Let's see, negative 36 plus 14 would be positive 20, or negative 22. Got it right away. Minus on the 9, a plus on the 7. All right, 45x squared minus 40x minus 40. I definitely see a GCF here. I can take a 5 out of all 3 terms, leaving me 9x squared minus 8x minus 8. My 5 comes along for the ride. To break apart 9x squared, I'm going to try 3x and 3x. To break apart 8, I like 4 and 1. Let's try 4 and 1. I get 12x and 3x. That does not make that 8 I wanted in the middle. There's no point in flip-flopping the 4 and the 1 because it's going to give me the same numbers. And I'm pretty sure that if I try 8 and 1, it's not going to work, but we'll just double check. Oh, well, what was I doing? Hang on. I ruled this out too soon. It shouldn't have been 4 and 1. It should have been 4 and 2. What am I doing? 4 times 3x is 12x. 3x times 2 is 6x. Well, 12x and 6x still doesn't make that 8x in the middle, but I tried. All right, let's try 8 and 1. I get 24x and 3x. Does not make the 8 I wanted in the middle. So that means it must be 9 and 1. All right, now I test my gut. Let's go 4 and 2. I have 4x and 18x. Those aren't making the 8 I wanted. Now I flip-flop them. 2 and 4. I have 2x and 36x. Also not making the 8 I wanted. Now I try 8 and 1. I'll have 8x and 9x. Not going to make the 8 I wanted. And the only option left is to do 1 and 8. That makes 1x and 72x. Also not going to make the 8 I wanted. Did I do something wrong? No, I did not. My answer is just right here. All I could do on this problem was take out the GCF. I won't give you a lot like that because it's a lot of work just to confirm that you're already done, but just be careful. All right, for some extra problems here. Always look for the GCF first. This one does not have one. To break apart 9x squared, we're actually going to go with 9x and 1x. Numbers that multiply to 40, we have 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, or 5 and 8. I'm going to go with 10 and 4 because I get 10x and 36x. Make them both minuses. We have our answer. For the second one, we have a GCF first. We're going to take out a 5, which leaves us 6a squared minus 47a minus 8. To break apart 6a squared, we're going to go with 6a and a here. To break apart 8, we can do 8 and 1 or 4 and 2. We're going to go with 1 and 8 because 6 times 8 makes 48. And 48 and 1 can give me 47. I want a negative 48, a positive 1. Number 3, we have a GCF again. This one, our GCF is 2. Leaves me 27p squared plus... Uh-oh, this one doesn't match our notes. We have 165p plus 150. So this one does not match what's in your notes, but we can still do it. Actually, 2 wasn't my GCF here. It was actually a 6. We have 9p squared plus 55p plus 50. So we have 6 to break apart 9p squared. Ooh, this one might take me a little scratch work because I haven't done it ahead of time. I think I'm going to go with 3p and 3p. To get 55, or to get 50, I could do 1 and 50, 2 and 25, 5 and 10. I like 5 and 10 because I get 15p and 30p. Ooh, close. That only makes 45p. Not quite there. I'm actually going to try 9p and 1p now, because with my 5 and my 10, I could have 45, and 10 makes 55. So those are both pluses, and there's my answer. For number 4, we have a GCF of 3, leaving me 4m squared minus m minus 5, which further factors into 4m and m, put a 5 and a 1, minus 5, plus 1. For number 5, we have no GCF. To break apart 10n squared, I'm going to go 5n and 2n. To break about 49, I'm going to go 7 and 7. I want positive 35 minus 14 to make that 21 in the middle. For number 6, no GCF. I'm going to break it apart into 9a and 1a. To multiply to 10, we're going to go with 10 and 1 because negative 10a minus 9a makes that minus 19. For number 7, there is no GCF. I'm going to break this one apart into 3n and 3n. To multiply to 16, we're going to go with 8 and 2 because 8 times 3 makes 24 and 3 times 2 makes 6. Both of them negatives, makes it a negative 30 in the middle. Number 8 does have a GCF. We can take 2 out of everything, leaving me 9x squared plus 73x minus 72. To break apart my 9x squared, we're going to go with 9x and x. To break apart my 72, we're going to go with 9 and 8. Because 9 times 9 is positive 81. 81 minus 8 makes 73. And for number 9, there's no GCF. We're going to break this apart into 9x and x. To break apart 16, we're going to go with 2 and 8 because 9 times negative 8 makes negative 72. Plus 2 makes negative 70. And for 10, there's no GCF again. To break apart 4m squared, we're going to go 2m and 2m. To break apart 21, we're going to go 7 and 3 because negative 14 plus 6 makes negative 8 in the middle.